This is 4 Down Territory. You know the drill. 4 topics, 4 teams with my guy Louis T here. All right, Louis T. The Broncos back on the right track, but with a different quarterback at the helm, Brock Osweiler, 3-0 as a starter. Who gives the Broncos a better shot to win, Brock Osweiler or Peyton Manning?
This is a tough one to answer because you look at the way the team is set up and the defense is so good. And we've talked about that here on this program many occasions, that this defense is good enough to take them all the way to the Super Bowl. And the way Peyton Manning has played this season, you're just saying, man, the way he's turning the football over, that defense isn't going to be able to do what they need to do to take this team where they want to go. Whereas Brock Osweiler's coming in, surprisingly enough, he hasn't turned the football over. They've been able to do a lot of the things they've wanted to do, running the football wise and getting under center and doing the stretch handoffs and the play action fake off of that. Some of the things they couldn't do with Peyton Manning. But come playoff time, it's a different animal. Mm-hmm. You want to go with what you know, the guy that's gotten it done before in the past. And even though Peyton Manning's playoff record isn't the best, he still has experience. And so you got to kind of balance that. I still think that when Peyton Manning's healthy, you got to go with Peyton Manning.
But if Brock continues to play as efficiently as he's playing and playing within a system that requires the guy to be efficient, he's only had 2 interceptions through 3 games, 4 touchdowns, compared to Peyton Manning's 14 interceptions. It's a huge difference, right?
Right, correct.
So with Brock there, it allows them to really stay within a system, rely on the running game, and then he takes shots down the field. He's doing that extremely well.
I think if Gary Kubiak really had his choice of who he wanted to play, I think he would stick with Brock Osweiler. But I think for the locker room's sake, with all those veterans in that locker room, they probably feel more comfortable. And again, I can't speak for that entire locker room. I'm pretty sure there's some guys in there that feel good about Brock Osweiler and others that would prefer to see Peyton Manning in there. When it's all said and done, you can put Peyton Manning in the game and take him out if he's struggling. I don't think you can do it in the reverse and put Brock Osweiler in as the starter and have a healthy Peyton Manning backing up Brock Osweiler. So I think you go with Peyton Manning. If he struggles a bit, you bring in Brock Osweiler off the bench.
All right, moving along to the Eagles. They had 3 consecutive terrible losses, but they regained their footing against the Patriots on the road. Right. A lot of people didn't give them a shot in that game, but being led by Sam Bradford, who was back in the lineup, they were able to pull that one out. Is this a turning point for the Eagles?
I'm not sure if this is a turning point for them or not. I mean, they scored 35 points in this game, but 3 of those touchdowns, block punt, punt return, pick 6, 100 yards. I mean, I don't know if this team is actually back or not, but that was a huge win for a team that desperately needed a win. Their schedule is set up favorable for them down the stretch, 3 straight home games. I'm not confident in that team. DeMarco Murray went to the owner and he's complaining about his touches. I just don't like where this team is right now.
Moving along to the Patriots, a team many thought were invincible at one point, but with all the injuries mounting, Dion Lewis out for the remainder of the season, Edelman out indefinitely, and Gronkowski out with a knee injury. Can this team continue to be a favorite to be a top seed in the AFC?
It's getting murky. This second loss here really did irreparable damage because what you've done now is you've brought Cincinnati back into the mix. You've brought Denver, who holds the tiebreaker over you already, back into the mix. So now it's really dicey for the Patriots because if they finish tied with Denver, Denver owns the tiebreaker. If Cincinnati were to defeat Denver in their big matchup later on in the season, they would be the number 1 seed in the AFC. So now they're relying on other teams to have to lose for them to get back to that number 1 seed. And they still haven't figured out their own issues. They've lost 2 in a row. So we'll see if they're able to get things corrected on their end of the bargain.
The last 4 games on the road for this team, we saw how thin that offensive line was. If they can't find a way to protect Tom Brady, it's going to be a tough road for them.
Indeed. Their number 1 thing that they have to do offensively is protect Tom Brady. It doesn't matter who's in the lineup, even though they had a lot of drop balls this past week versus Philadelphia. It doesn't matter who's in the lineup. If they protect Tom Brady, he'll get the right player the football. But they have to protect Tom Brady because their running game isn't that good. They have to be able to move the football through the air via Tom Brady, and they have to protect him in order to do that.
Yep. Without Gronkowski, Lewis, or Edelman, that's about 70% of their offense gone. Yep. Who's going to step up because Brandon LaFell hasn't shown that he's ready to take that lead?
Yeah, I think in the absence of Gronkowski, you got to start using a couple of different packages, maybe try to get Amendola isolated. He was a little off, but that was his first game back. Try to get him to win some matchups. They've also got another tight end that they feel good about that they got from Buffalo. Maybe Scott Chandler, hit him a couple of times. They've got other guys that can spread the football around too, but it's starting to get really thin at the skill positions for the Patriots.
The Carolina Panthers showing their resilience, the lone undefeated team. Now, I got to give you credit. You did say they would be the last one standing, but they've got 4 games left on the schedule, 2 against the Falcons, against the Giants, and then the Buccaneers. Can they stay undefeated?
Can we go ahead and say Cam Newton's the MVP now? I think we can go ahead and do that.
I wouldn't deny that. I wouldn't deny that. What he has done for this team in terms of his impact, his leadership, guys are having fun out there, and that's because of Cam Newton.
Obviously, and that game against New Orleans, that was just out of bounds, okay? What he did in that game, when they needed him to make a play, he made a play in that game. Looking at their remaining schedule, they've got some family business in there. 3 games still in that division. We look at the Falcons, and they're a train wreck. You say, oh, no way they're going to beat the Panthers, but stranger things have happened. It's a divisional game. They know each other. Buccaneers don't want to sleep on those guys either. They've still got some tough tests. And that game against the Giants, if I'm not mistaken, is on the road in New York. That's a game that we've seen the Giants step up to levels of competition and raise their game. And so it wouldn't surprise me in the least if they're able to lose one of those games down the stretch.
All right, so that wraps it up for 4 Down Territory. We'll see how things shake out for these 4 teams.